Alright, welcome back to Four Lakes. We haven't seen this one for a little while, and that's actually partly due to the fact that I didn't really like the map for a while. I sort of didn't like playing it, didn't like seeing people play it, because it always seemed to be long games. It just seemed to be quite boring. And I couldn't figure out a way to proxy as well as on it as all the other water maps. So that's me being completely honest about why we probably haven't seen it a lot for Community Challenge. And then with the tournaments I've been running, I sort of wanted to have a small map pool for some very rushy maps. So yeah, we're reintroducing this to Community Challenge after some time. We got Andres here in the yellow trunks as the Celts, up against Tim's in the red trunks as the Romans. We were sort of hoping to have a best of 3 of this, but I'm actually probably gonna have to go and have lunch after this, so we'll have a bit of a break, and then if they're both around afterwards, we'll do more games between the two of them as part of a best of 3. Otherwise, if they're not, well, we'll probably just continue on with we'll probably have Sheedy versus Alex if Alex has fixed Sheedy's connection. So guys, give Alex a big pat on the back for stepping in to help a player with internet connections, a new PvP player named Sheedy from Brazil. Because poor old Sheedy doesn't understand English very well. But, you know, being Brazilian, he can understand Portuguese, obviously, and means he's got a fairly intermediate level of Spanish understanding. And same with Alex, being from Mexico, understands Spanish really well, understands Portuguese a little bit, so Alex actually stepped in to help him with his connection issues when I couldn't. And basically they were going to play, but we're just taking a bit long, and both these guys had already been waiting to play a game, so here we are. So Andres going towards age 2. Already got the fishing ships, adding the 3 houses so he can go to age 2. He's got the food he needs already. Tim's age up's already on the way. He's just got his fishing, he's got his dock now, hasn't got his fishing boats just yet. Andres queuing up his second boat, getting his age up as well. Tim's going to start that first boat. So pretty similar overall idea behind their builds. Slightly different in terms of, you know, the order, but ultimately the same build. Tim's is going to get loom pretty quickly here. Possibly wanting to try and avoid having to go for a house, but I think he's still going to have to get a house before his town centre. And he's probably best off getting a second boat as well before the TC, in my opinion. Going up to a third like Andres, it's really smooth if he can hit this timing. And it's a large map, he doesn't have to be too safe, so I think it's going to work fine. Just needs a little bit more wood now. Tim's is going to be housed momentarily. Not a huge deal. I mean, he's training a fishing boat, so he's got something in the queue, which is the big thing. As long as something's in the queue, that's eco. He probably wants to throw down a house, doesn't really want to wait for this to finish. So yeah, he's going to do just that. Andres is cramming out those boats already. He's already gone for a second dock at this stage. Gonna get the second TC. So it's a very macro-y sort of map. And it can be hard to really play out much of the early game. There's not a hell of a lot of time spent in age 2 and practically none spent in age 1 in combat on this map. Like, there's just no potential to spear rush. And even any sort of 1 TC play has to pretty much be done off a forward base. Like, you've really got to go off here. And it's usually pretty successful, but there's sort of not a lot of variance. It's pretty much do that or just go double dock and TC, or dock TC, army and second dock, basically every single game. Not necessarily a bad thing if you like big macro maps. And it's refreshing to play this after playing a hell of a lot of like Oasis, Swamp Pass, Equal Footing, Grasslands, and even Treasure Island. Because, you know, water on this is quite safe unless you proxy it. But it's actually an easier map to proxy on the water than Mountain Crossing. Because there's sort of two completely different spots to have to watch. And it's not tucked in behind your town center. It's potentially a good proxy dock map or like proxy and rush map, but other than that, there's not a hell of a lot of early game to it. It's basically get to age 3, start fighting, get to age 4, and the game's decided. It's sort of my one criticism of it. Because I think it's based off of Age of Empires 2 map, and I can't remember if Recon designed it. I don't think he did. I think he designed Grasslands out of this map pack that this was included in. It was actually one Requiem 1 designed. That was sort of... can't remember if like Recon sort of told him like it would be a good map to make, or if he just sort of had the inspiration to make an AoE 2 map. This is sort of around the time Recon had basically stopped playing AoEO to play AoE 2. So army production starting up for our players. In fact, Tim's is a fair bit faster on this. He could probably look at pushing here. If he gets his scout moving, he'd notice he's actually kind of got the jump on Andres here. He's got double production already started. In fact, he's got that Praetorium on the way as well. Andres has a lot of villages in the queue, but it's just now... oh, there we go. He's adding a lot more production now, getting a second and third barracks and a grove. I think Tim's has got a bit of an army advantage. He could look at capitalizing on that. I know it's a bit of rush distance. It's not a very close map at all. But Andres is going to start having a bit of an upper hand on Eco for a little bit here. He's already up to 8 boats, whereas I think Tim's is on 5 and about to start getting on more. Andres is going to be a bit unlucky to actually not see the start. That's kind of what I mean. The map's sort of too large for players to be keeping an eye on a lot at once. Well, like a great portion of the map at once, so knowing when to push out can honestly be a bit of a battle. But Andres is aware these guys are moving out. He does have a slightly smaller force. He does have a Druid in tow, which is going to be handy, but there is already a Decurion here as well. Tim's just cut production momentarily there. They should get that Decurion production started again, because really in this sort of situation, if you can outproduce your opponent, really good timing for that tower to finish there for Andres actually. Gonna possibly prove to be the difference here, but the Druid is going to be saved. So Tim's not focusing down the Druids is going to mean he's going to retreat. That tower is going to be very handy as well. Going to make it hard for Tim's to push Andres off here, but he hasn't finished that armory. Also slow him down a bit. So Andres going to age 3. Tim's also a little slower on the age 3, adding his armories now as well. He's got that NQ as well. Now a rough early fight for Tim's. He just didn't quite have the production there behind that, whereas Andres, and he probably showed up a little bit late. Like I was saying, he had a bit of an opportunity there when Andres was just throwing down his second barracks and his first one was only just getting conditioning, and Tim's had already had like 4 or 5 legionaries out. It was sort of the ideal time to push. He had a second barracks, he had the Praetorium on the way. But by the time he showed up, Andres was ready. He had that tower up, he had the second barracks and the grove finished. The third barracks was nearly done. So a bit of harass being done by Andres, and he wants to go for that proxy dock. I don't know if Tim's is going to be able to see this once it starts too. Tim's is going to clean up these guys here. So Andres could have backed out of that actually. He does have a speed advantage over his opponent at the moment. We've had Tim's doing a proxy dock here. I didn't see this go down earlier. But Tim's can go age 3. He can get a Neresis. It makes Roman very deadly on the water here. And I think Tim's is... I've played against Tim's on water maps, and honestly, against his Romans, it's actually not very enjoyable because he does make really good use of a Neresis. And then once he's actually taken control with the water, he uses them to help blockade the land really well. So I had a couple of games on Great Lake against his Romans. Really, really well. And Tim's has actually got Temper. There's no armory upgrade yet for Andres, so Temper's just finishing off. And yeah, Tim's even got Ekez and the Aquilifer in the mix now. Nereus should be a rough fight if Andres can micro this. Tim's is going to actually win that water trade in the end. If Andres is going over here now. Wait and see for the moment. Looks like Tim's just going to start fishing, but then he'll notice both of them have just wanted to go fishing. How cute. They can hold hands in that lake together. Well, over here, on Andres' side of the map, it's been a bit of a bloodbath. I don't know if either of them have realized yet. So 73 vils to 62. Andres has squeezed out a slightly bigger economy here. And Andres taking the center of the map. This is another thing that people might not like about this map, is it's like a semi-gold rush style map in the middle. There's, you know, a couple of gold mines to get on top of, 2 to 3. And then even getting on these external gold mines towards the center. If you haven't got control of the mid-map, it's very hard to have a good gold income. Haven't seen any rams come through for Tim's yet. Actually, here's one. Oh, this is very dangerous though, because it's going to get spotted by the longswords. So it looks as though Tim's possibly going to lose this water, but if he can get the Ineris out in time, he can make this really not worth Andres' while, because he'll also be losing water and potentially some army through this. Tim's does get his ram out of there, which is surprising. Is he able to save the dock is going to be the big thing. Yeah, it looks like he will, and Andres backs out, not taking out the dock, but then losing everything anyway. So good outcome there for Tim's, because he keeps his water eco alive. But he's still a villager there gathering. Tim's losing that ram. It's mostly just longswords at this stage for Andres, although he is going to start adding in woads. I think I even saw a couple of spears in the queue, but I think he's probably going to opt to get stables and ranges instead. He's not actually going for this water or the dock at all. Just kind of denying Andres. Not struggling for food so much at the moment, but he is going to need to actually get a lot more villagers on food, or just start adding more fishing ships. So he's only got 5 food gatherers. Andres is on 17, and I mean, he pretty much bottomed out on food, but right now he's pulling ahead on army size. In fact, he is just going to go with spears, not going to worry about adding stables at this point. So a few more legionaries, or even the addition of bowmen, could be really good for Tim's. I mean, there is some woads in the mix, but only really enough to clean up siege. I think is the idea behind that, because he did spot some rams earlier. Andres is going to push in. He's got actually the same nearly armor and damage upgrades as Tim's here, but they've both got age 3 damage, age 2 armor at this stage. Andres has a slightly bigger force here. They're fighting on the doorstep of Tim's base, and neither of them is able to produce a huge amount of infantry behind this. Andres has got so much gold in the bank, but is struggling a bit for food at the moment. Tim's is now going to go for a couple of rams over here. He's taking out that dock. He could honestly just delete that Daenerys, repair the dock, and just keep fishing there. So he's all done and dusted over this side. Andres is pretty much done and dusted over here. There'll only be a couple of hundred food left on that. Just that Tim's had 5 fishing boats to Andres 4 at the lower side. So at the moment, the only one that's really got a lot of longevity on their water eco is Tim's. Andres is going to creep forward with a fortress here though, so let's see what Tim's intends to do. Neither player is particularly aware of the other at the moment. And Damara being activated, so Andres can try and just outproduce Tim's. Oh, it looks like the rams are coming straight through instead of going onto the barracks. Ultimately, that army is going to win that fight there for Tim's. Just had slightly more there. Villagers coming in to try and deal with the rams. Andres deciding, actually, no, wait, bugger that. I'll just try and throw up what more production I can at the moment. Because there's a lot of wood in the bank too. And Tim's just needs to make sure he's pushing with everything at the moment. These rams are just sitting idle. In fact, he's only fighting with half his army at the moment. So he'd want to try and get everything involved at the once. Andres having to produce some spears through this just to ward off the Echoes and Decurions. There's a good number of Legionaries and Centurions in the mix here for Tim, so it's a very tough fight for the Celt player. I'm just trying to get age 4 in the mix of this. At the moment, he hasn't got a lot of food in the bank though. The Rams ultimately being taken out there. Tim's has actually sent another one through. He's cleaned up that tower. Might be able to get this barracks. Tried to force up the fortress there. Has backed out, but it's put a nice little wall here. Tim's having to retreat a little bit here. Barracks does survive. Tim still hasn't started getting on that water yet, and he hasn't deleted the Daenerys. Andres, age 4 is still on the way. It's about 25 seconds to go. Tim's is just going to lose a couple of stragglers there. He's got a lot in the bank, but he needs to not worry so much about anything other than food and gold at this point. He's got plenty of stone, plenty of wood. Oh, this is an interesting choice here. Our players are fighting with villagers over at the top. But it looks as though Andres is going to get there first, so Tim's is going to have to retreat with all these guys. There's a lot of villagers to have just sitting idle. There are 64 villagers to 92 in favour of Andres. It means Tim's has got a much bigger army pop at the moment. But a lot of that is locked up in these Daeneryses. That's 6 population that he's just not able to make any use of. Like this first Daenerys, he could actually bring him forward and start dealing a bit of damage here. Over the top, these guys going idle is going to hurt Tim's a little bit. Starting to run dry on gold a little bit. There's not a lot left at the top there. There is plenty over at the bottom side of the map, but he's been sort of forced off the top side. Still able to get on that gold mine for the moment, but there are champions in production here for Andres. I don't know if he's got enough of a front line just to sit there and tank them, because they are really solid, good generalist damage. Might need a bit of a ranged element and a bit of a mix of different kinds of melee to deal with that. Or having Legionary with their even their Bellum Romanum upgrade, just because the charge gives them that initial extra, basically critical hit at the start of the fight. Just trying to hold on to that third TC at the moment. And Andres is looking really safe around the map. He's consumed most of that center gold. Neither players really had to commit to markets yet. So there's a lot of gold on that. Tim's position, it's a bit hard to maintain it for long, and you will ultimately be forced into having to try and market earlier and take a market that's not necessarily as effective as your opponent's. So Tim's is able to hold on here. There is a forward fortress being built by Onrez though. He's really starting to creep forward with the static defense. There's not a lot of villagers building it. If Tim's is quick here, he could actually stop this from going up. He's too busy just trying to win fights against the individual units, and everything's rallying back. Oh no, he does force him off. But Andres is paying attention and he knows Tim's isn't pulling the whole army. So I think Tim's could have prevented this from going up, but he was a little bit reckless there. A little bit preoccupied with staying alive and having a food economy as well, though, I should add. Yeah, ultimately with that fortress finishing up, Tim's is going to have to play a bit carefully now. How are these goals going? He does have a fair bit of gold incoming for the moment. I think he could delete that Inaris, bring this one forward and be a pain in the ass with it until, you know, Andres actually cleans it up. Because it could actually hit like the Armory and the Sacred Grove. Maybe even be a bit of a pest to some of those farms if you do ultimately end up getting the champion upgrade. Actually, no, you got the same range still. So, sort of range have we got? Oh yeah, the building range is quite far. Tim's fighting with half his army. I don't know if this is a good idea. He should. Oh yeah, he's got to bring up that range. Never mind. Take it back. I think he could look at going in here though. There's not a huge amount of population for Andres. And he's got the bigger eco, so he's got a smaller army. But Tim's can get like a ram or two here. Here we go, he's getting rams. 2 at a time. There's a few more houses. He's got plenty in the bank, so there's no reason why he couldn't be fighting at 180 population at the moment. In fact, both of them could really be massing up army a bit quicker here. There's a lot of money in the bank for the pair of them, so just spend it, bro. Just do it. There's some units over here. I actually missed what happened there. Oh, there was a bit of a raid by Tim's at one stage. Tim's is going in with his rams, but he needs to make sure the whole army's going in here. You should just send the army in first and then just send the rams straight in behind them. This is actually, it looks like Andres is now going to start maxing out, so Andres can go in for the kill here, I think. He might need more than just long swords. Rams are going to go in. Champions are able to take them out pretty quickly. Back to 9 champions being produced at once, which is really good for Andres and not so great for Tim's. So these guys are coming in as well. Andres has rounded up the stragglers. It's time to end this, he says. A lot of buildings just willy-nilly around the map for Tim's, and he's got that 3rd town centre back at the bottom now. He can go for age 4 actually, he's got plenty in the bank. I don't know why he's holding out. Because he needs to get the upgrade so he can win the fight late game for this at the moment. I mean, he does need to max out again, but he's got so much gold, like he can spend 1700 on units and still take the age up. Andres really been keeping him busy. GG is the call. Yeah, I might have to go grab lunch and then I'll come back.